you're thinking of starting a business, you should be aware of these major employment laws that you need to follow to be successful. The first law is the Fair Labor Standards Act. This law is the main federal law that regulates employees' pay. It establishes a national minimum wage and overtime standards that cover employees. Employers covered by the law are businesses that take in $500,000 or more in total annual sales, or are engaged in interstate commerce. This set of regulations covers nearly all workplaces, almost all businesses engaged in interstate commerce one way or another. What does this law require? Is that the FLSA sets the minimum wage for all coverage employees. The federal minimum wage is currently at $7.25 per hour. Nevertheless, many states and cities set their own minimum wage that could be higher and therefore must pay the higher wage. However, you can pay a lower minimum wage to employees who receive tips, younger workers, and some other workers. In addition, FLSA also requires you to keep records of wages and hours for employees, especially those employees who work overtime, which is more than 40 hours per week. And those employees will need to get paid time and a half. The exemptions would be executives, administrative and professional employees, outside salespeople, and computer system analysts and programmers. Child labor limits the type of work children under the age of 18 may perform, where they are not allowed to do hazardous work or certain types of driving. The United States Department of Labor enforces the FLSA, can impose civil penalties on employers who do not comply. The second law is the National Labor Relations Act, which gives most employees the right to unionize. The NLRA applies to all private employers whose operations affect interstate commerce, including almost all private employers and non-union companies. So the NLRA prohibits employers from unfairly influencing their workers' decisions to join or form a union, and may not use threats or other tactics to influence the outcome of a union election. It also prohibits unfair labor practices by employers and unions. This law affects small businesses in a high capacity because they would probably not be able to afford to pay bargaining lawyers to negotiate contracts. Legal fees would probably bring the business to bankruptcy. The National Labor Regulation Board administers the law and interprets its provisions. Individual employees and unions may file complaints with the NLRB, but they may not sue employers in the court for those violations. The third law is the Immigration Reform and Control Act, which requires all employers to verify that their employees are legally authorized to work in the United States. It also prohibits employers from discriminating against employees based on citizenship status and national origin. Employers covered by the law, the Immigration Reform Control Act verification and record-keeping provisions apply to all employers, no matter how small the company is. The IRCA anti-discrimination provision apply only to private employers with 4 or more employees. The law requires and prohibits employers from knowingly hiring an illegal alien, nor may an employee continue to employ a person after discovering he or she is unauthorized alien. All employers must verify that their employees are either U.S. citizens or national, or illegal aliens authorized to work in the United States. Businesses must examine documents establishing the worker's identity and work authorization, such as passports, permits, driver's license, and social security cards. Employers who knowingly hire unauthorized alien can get fined. In several cases, employers can get criminally prosecuted. The fourth law is the Occupational Health and Safety Act. This law requires employers to keep their workplaces safe and free from recognizing hazards that are likely to cause death or serious harm to employees. The law requires employers must report accidents resulting in death or hospitalization of employees and keep records of their efforts to comply with the law. The primary way in which OSHA enforces the OSHA Act is through on-site inspections, which may be at random. OSHA can impose penalties for legal violations and set additional workplace standards. The last law is Equal Pay Act, which protects both men and women from wage discrimination based on sex. These apply to businesses earning over $500,000 in gross sales. EPA requires that employers give equal pay and benefits to men and women for doing equal work. Know and follow these guidelines, and you will do great in your business. Any questions?